So we are all rested from our journey of 3,000 kilometers here to the middle of the Yukon Territory, and now we're ready to start building our camp. So we're just planning out where all of our structures are going to go. We're working out here. We're not just camping for a few days. We might be here for well over a month. So we need to be able to have a proper functional working camp, not just a simple campfire and a tent. So we're going to have 2 Quonsets. We're going to position them here and here. This is our initial plan, and that will be our kitchen, food storage, and mushroom dryer. This stuff will all get moved.
We're gonna build a city, eh?
First things first, we need some poles. So I've got my handsaw and my axe. You don't want to touch any of these nice growing green trees that have survived the fire. They'll help reseed the fire. So what you want to target is the trees that have died during the fire. So like these here. Here's an example of a burnt tree we can use for building material. I'm at the edge of the burn here. So here's a good one. This tree is dead. It's a dead spruce tree. In between, this is a trembling aspen on both sides. And I'll take the spruce tree from the middle. So we got to clean up some branches. Now it's a lot easier to clean off the branches while the tree is standing. We'll get this out of our way. And delimit. Now anywhere I've missed, we'll have a little spike from where the branch broke off, and that can make a hole in your tarp. So it's important to go down the tree and remove a bunch of those. And there's our first building pole. It's tied into those branches up there. So for these trees, we can just grab it. Alec and I are out getting poles, and Randy's cooking food. We all work together to get things done.
Frittata, carrots, garlic, tomatoes, kale, cheese, eggs, thick bacon.
So I put my tent in this little nook. These trees should leaf out and give it a little bit of shade. I'll probably put a beam across with a tarp. And camp's right there.
Our wildlife and security camera.
Is that for safety or entertainment?
That's so we can catch Randy eating all the chocolates at night. Okay, so we've decided that we're going to scout this burn before we commit to doing a full camp setup, because we want to know what the ground's looking like before we get too carried away here. Alec and I are going to head out into the burn and do a nice big walk and just get a nice look at all the ground. We don't expect to find morels yet because it's a little too early, but we'll know if it's good looking ground. So with me, I've got a small backpack with some safety gear and stuff in case we get stuck in the bush or get turned around. Got my handheld GPS, got a bear banger, water, bear spray, and you. Oh, and of course, glow-in-the-dark compass. So here's our fire. We can't pick here. This is a protected zone. There's a little bit of settlement land here. So this area here is our target. And our camp is right around here. We should check this big flat here, and we should work the edge where the muskeg meets the spruce and aspen, right on that transition where the elevation starts to climb out of the actual bog, but it's still nice and wet. I'm not sure if we can get across the creek here, but we can try. We also have radios, so we're gonna leave this one in camp with Randy, and then Alex and I will have a radio on us in case we split up at all. You think about it from our perspective, we've just traveled over 3,000 kilometers, and this is gonna be our first real walk in the burn for the season. So it's really exciting every time we do this, every year. Can't wait to get in there. We've just entered the burn. We're descending this big hill from our camp.
This is nice looking ground.
Yeah, this is nice looking ground. See, here's the muskeg moss. This won't produce, but in all of these pockets where it's burnt away and the soil's exposed, that could be really nice. What would be great is if we can find some fire cups today. So here the burn came through really hard and fast, and it's left these chunks of sphagnum peat moss from the muskeg sort of just sitting here. Look at this stuff. This muskeg on average is 1 foot to 2 foot deep, thick, but I've seen it in places where it's out more than 5 feet thick. It's quite amazing stuff, and it's one of the largest carbon sinks on the planet. So the area we're interested in is like this whole central zone in the middle of this sort of valley. We can see some spruce and aspen right over here. We're gonna head to those first, and that requires us to descend the rest of this hill and then walk through a muskeg bog. It's almost like walking on snow. Sometimes when you get to these spots, it's like little channels of water and holes in between the moss, and you can't see them. So you'll see something like this. If you were to put your weight there, in some of these bogs, you might fall 4 feet down into a pool of water. And with a packboard on, it kind of sucks. So sometimes with these bogs, these muskeg bogs, they actually were once open ponds or even small lakes or just swamps, and then the moss has just grown over everything and absorbed all that water. In this case, it's fairly dry. Whoa, that's really nice looking. This is perfect morel looking ground. We've got spruce, aspen. The trees weren't burnt too hard. It was more of a ground burn. So what happens there is the trees die and then they drop all their orange needles, which creates a nice insulating, moisture retaining layer of like mulch on the ground. You know, you can just see fire cups are gonna come out of here soon. It'll be very easy to harvest in here because it's so nice and flat and open. We've been walking now for 900 meters, and it's been like this the entire way. Nice open flat, spruce and aspen, some grass starting. And if this ground can stay wet and not dry out, I think that whole area we just walked through could be pretty good picking. Okay, as soon as we came up onto this little transition where the elevation changes, there is some fire cups. Liverwort, fire cups, some moss, all the needles, they're turning white. It's all here. So, looking better and better. Here is a large squirrel chew. So this is a seriously long time of a squirrel building up the cones, the spruce cones here. And Randy has climbed into one of these to survive a night one time. So it's a good thing to know about. It's very insulating. You can climb right in there, have an uncomfortable sleep, but you won't freeze to death.
Got a good coffee on you. That's good reception.
There's no way we can cross this from here.
Another aspen spruce mix.
See, the high water was right up to here.
Yeah.
Too deep to cross. That sound is a spruce beetle eating the inside of the burnt tree. For any new viewers out there seeing our channel for the first time, just so you know, we are in the middle of absolutely nowhere. The only thing around this area is the Klondike Highway. There's places in the Yukon where people very rarely get to walk, and as mushroom pickers we have a reason to go out there. So we're just following an old moose trail. Well, a still used moose trail. We're following fresh moose prints actually. They're pretty big and they're relatively recent. They go all the way like that. If you watched our last season, you know we were picking a lot of morel from in and around these fire cups here. We're the first people on this fire, so we can get familiar with it before the mushrooms come. So these are the muskeg holes I'm always warning about. Sometimes they'll be underneath soft moss and you step there thinking it's safe, and then your leg goes down into there with a packboard on. I gotta be careful here. Look, there's another one. Pretty far into it now. We've walked 2 or 3 kilometers.
The structure all right. There's
Yeah.
a door.
The tin is throwing me off, but then you look at the posts, and that's a long time for the Yukon. I've found wood from 100 years ago, and it was not even more aged than this. You can see here, this is the log with the metal attached, but then it looks to us like there's 2 different eras of construction and material going on here. So whether this was related to finding gold or just hunting, we're not sure. Being in the Yukon, we're always looking for old cabins and Klondike Gold Rush relics. And the first time we harvested morels in the Yukon here, we came across a couple of really old cabins from 120-ish years ago. We found a really old bear trap. We brought it back to a guy who knew more about bear traps, and he said that it was quite a collectible bear trap. .43 kilometers. So our first Quonset is fully put up, and because we're out here for so long, we have so much stuff in these, and we aren't in like a protected campground, we're right out in the open in the Yukon. Every corner has to have a stake driven into the ground with a bungee on it, and then multiple guy lines. So this can handle high wind. Our other one will go here with our mushroom dryer. This will be our kitchen and wash area. And then we'll probably put our sort of camp fire pit sort of zone in here. And the reason we've done this is because if we put the 2 vehicles here and here, it creates a nice privacy blocker if anybody else decides to move into the pit over here. So they can't see into our mushroom dryer. If you watched our videos last season, we were in a very nice position on a huge burn on a private property. We had no competition at all. This year will probably be quite competitive. There's just not very many burns, and this is one of the only ones with really nice looking ground in a place where people can easily get to. It's right off the highway. We're not planning to only pick this burn. It's just, this is a nice central location we can drive from. So if we can do 4 or 5 really good days out of this fire, if it gets too competitive, it's not too far in either direction to get to some other nice burns. We'll probably continue building camp tomorrow. For the rest of today, I think we're going to go scout on that side of the burn a little bit more. So our camp is there, and we are headed that way. Other side of the burn. like this area. We need to find where it meets a wetland. We've entered a section of green forest, and I know from the drone shots that if we walk through this far enough, we'll come back into a nice looking section of burn. But it's quite a nice forest. It's cool to see it still green and alive here. It's full of bearberries. A lot of pickers don't think to check these green sections of forest, but sometimes the burn will creep under the canopy into these green areas, and they can be some of the most abundant patches you'll find. So here's an example right here. Little pockets of burn in and around through this green forest, so it's mostly alive still. This ravine isn't burnt, but the next one could be. And you see here, this is all dry. Not too much moss. It's a dead giveaway. There's not too much moisture. But down in the ravine, it's full of moss, which shows that there's moisture. So if there's more ravines like this over there, it could be very similar.
That's cool.
All the signs of a Canadian beaver. Chewed off trees from the beaver.
Yeah.
So we've got a big willow swamp in our way here. And there's the burn on the other side. And here's his little runway. Swims along. And then his lodge is over there. Beaver home. You can cross there?
Yeah. This is actually an old dam, I think. You know, it's all burned up.
Oh yeah.
I think it's an old dam. And once he controlled it, he changed everything. You think you saw the burn over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Make it through here.
Yeah.
We try.
If it gets too nasty, we'll find another way. This used to all be flooded through here, and you can see the channels, but the beaver has altered the course of the water quite a bit. The beaver's guided all the water into the main channel here. The dangerous thing here is the bark sliding off the tree. I don't recommend doing this, but we're lightweight right now, so we're going for it. Wouldn't carry a pack board across that unless I absolutely had to. Here's the burn. We're back into it. Good looking burn. Huge spruce tree right away. Liverwort everywhere. Wet ground. Well, our assessment of this part of the burn so far is that it's easy walking, lots of nice trees, good species, but it's a little dry. So if it stays hot and sunny, there might not be that many mushrooms out here. But if we continue to get intermittent rain, and this does produce, it'll be nice, easy picking. So we've walked quite a bit of burn today. The side isn't bad, but it's not as nice as the other side. So far, the area that we scoped out from Google Earth, from satellite, is actually the nicest area we've walked through so far. Kilometer 518 on the Klondike Highway. Take a quick nap. We're back at our camp. In total, we did 17.44 kilometers today. So, quite a bit of walking, covered a lot of ground. Got a lot better idea of what's going on around here. Now there's 2 more burns not far away from our camp here that we want to scout over the next few days. But I think tomorrow we'll continue setting up our camp and get nice and comfortable here. See you next time. Thanks for watching episode 5 of our 2023 Morel season. We're all happy to finally be scouting some burns here in the Yukon territory after our long road trip. Stay tuned for the coming episodes where we'll begin to set up the rest of our wild harvesting camp so that we're ready for when the morels arrive. Once our camp is set up, there are multiple other fires scattered across the central Yukon that we plan to explore over the coming week. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a like and subscribe to our channel, or you can check out our online store linked in the description below. Thanks for watching.